Hello, 7th graders. Welcome to Mr. Kendrick's online math class. Today we are going to be doing lesson 1.1, integers and absolute value. In your notes, make sure you label the title 1.1, integers and absolute value. And for your reference, these numbers here, the first one is referencing the chapter number, and the second one is referencing the lesson number. Okay, so today we are going to be doing lesson 1.1. Chapter 1, Lesson 1. At the end of your notes, you should have 9 different things written down, and they are all labeled in green writing. So if there's something that's in green, that means that it is meant for you to write down in your notes. All right, let's get started. First one, integers. Integers are positive and negative whole numbers. So any number that is whole, positive or negative, can be referred to as an integer. Here's some examples. -1, 10, 706, 27, -1054. Okay, so integers are just whole numbers, positive or negative whole numbers. Go ahead and pause the video here. Make sure you get this definition down in your notes now. All right, moving on. Number 2, absolute value. Okay, the absolute value of an integer is the distance between the number and 0 on a number line. The absolute value of a number a is written as absolute value of a. Okay, if we look down below on the number line there, you'll see 2 examples. The absolute value of -4 is equal to 4, and the absolute value of +4 is equal to 4. Because when we're looking at absolute value, we're just looking at how far that number is from 0. Okay, and if we look on the number line, starting with -4, the absolute value of -4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers from 0. So the absolute value of -4 is 4. Okay, how about +4? If we look at +4 on the number line, it is 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers from 0, so the absolute value of +4 is 4. All right, let's go ahead and pause here. Make sure you get this definition and example down in your notes. All right, let's take a look at a couple examples. Find the absolute value of 2. Okay, so the absolute value of 2. Whenever you see a number inside these 2 walls, that is referring to absolute value. Okay, so the absolute value of +2 is 2. Find the absolute value of -6. The absolute value of -6 is equal to +6 because it is 6 integers from 0. 6 numbers from 0. All right, now it's your turn. Go ahead and pause right here and try these 2 problems on your own and see how you do. Right, make sure these are in your notes. The absolute value of -5 is +5, and the absolute value of +7 is 7. Okay, so hopefully you're making sense of this absolute value at this point, that we are just, when we're dealing with absolute value, we are just seeing how far that number is from 0. All right, now we're going to compare numbers with absolute value. Okay, comparing integers and absolute value. When we compare numbers, we use the symbols less than, greater than, or equal to. Okay, so when we are comparing numbers with absolute value, the first thing we need to do is find the absolute value of the number that's inside the absolute value symbol. Okay, so here we'll bring this down, and the absolute value is 4. Okay, so if we're going to compare numbers 1 and 4, the absolute value of negative 4 is greater than 1. Okay. Now, if we are looking at a number line, and if this is 0, everything to the right of 0 is positive. Everything to the left of 0 is negative. Okay, so negative 1, negative 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Alright, now it's your turn to try and compare some numbers. Go ahead and pause here, try these examples out, and come back and see how you did. Alright, let's see how we did. Again, when we're comparing numbers with absolute value, we need to make sure that we need to solve for the absolute value of the number and then compare. So the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. So basically we're comparing 2 and negative 1. Okay? So if we compare the absolute value of negative 2, which is 2, to negative 1, then we can say 2 is greater than negative 1. The absolute value of 10 is 10. Okay? And 10 is less than 11, so the absolute value of 10 is less than 11. Negative 7 and absolute value of 6. The absolute value of 6 is 6, so negative 7 is less than 6. 9 and the absolute value of negative 9. The absolute value of negative 9 is 9, so 9 is equal to the absolute value of negative 9. All right. Next one. Okay, now we're going to look at putting these numbers, these integers, in order from least to greatest. Okay, so again, if we look at a number line, positive, negative. Not negative 1, just negative. Okay, so let's see how we're going to work this out. Order the values from least to greatest. Okay, so when we're ordering absolute value, we can solve for the absolute value. So the absolute value, I'm going to bring these all down. Absolute value of 3 is 3. We got negative 5. The absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2, and then we got negative 2. Okay, so if we look at this and then we go to put them in order, the least is negative 5, negative 5, negative 2, positive 2, 3, and then 8. Okay, so now we have them in order, but we need to put them back into absolute value. Okay, so negative 5 stays the same. Negative 2 stays the same. We have the absolute value of negative 2. The absolute value of 3. And 8. Okay, so for your final answer, when you're working on these in practice problems, when you submit your final answer, it needs to be in this form. Okay, so you can get rid of the absolute value signs, find the absolute value first, and then once you go to submit your answer, you need to make sure that you put them back into absolute value. All right, go ahead and give yourself a try here. Pause the video and write these values down and try to place them in order from least to greatest. Come back and see how you did. Alright, so again, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the absolute values. So the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. Then we got negative 7. Then we got 8. The absolute value of 5 is 5. And negative 6. Okay, so now we'll put them in order from least to greatest. So we got negative 7. And then we got negative 6. And then we got 5, 6, and 8. Okay, so now we've put them in order from least to greatest, and then we need to put them back into the absolute value symbols. Okay, so negative 6 stays the same, or sorry, negative 7. And then we got negative 6 stays the same. Okay, then we got the absolute value of 5. The absolute value of negative 6. And we got 8. Okay, so hopefully you got the same answers that I got there. This concludes our 1.1 lesson, integers and absolute value. Now you can go to Big Ideas and complete your homework. Thanks for watching.